everyone, I'm Holly and today I'm doing some test batches. This first one I'm going to do is sour watermelon. It's a sour watermelon candy from Nature's Garden. Now, out of bottle, all I smell is rainbow sherbet, so I don't know. I'm just going to test it and see what happens. So I have some goat milk that I need to use up, so I'm just putting in just 1 ounce of goat milk for this 5-pound batch of soap. And I'm going to get that blended into the oils. So I prepped my lye solution a few days ago, so I'm actually going to strain it out. I intended to make soap 5 days ago, but it just didn't work out. Most of the pieces are sticking to the bottom anyway, so that's fine. It really doesn't take much to emulsify a smaller batch, but I'm going to stir it and see what I think. It's looking pretty good. I think this fragrance, it says that it can accelerate just a little bit, so I'm going to take it easy. Yeah, I think that's good. So I don't need to continue doing that. So I want to do a typical, watermelon-y looking soap. So I'm just going to pour out a little bit for some greens. And we'll set that to the side for a moment. So I have some chrome green here. That's going to be my super dark one, as I really do want that dark green. I don't know if you can hear a lawnmower in the background. If you can, I'm sorry, but my son is mowing. It is a beautiful day in Missouri. He could either come up here and work or go outside and mow. And I said, well, I want to do the videos, so I guess you're just going to have to go mow. And I felt conflicted about the sound possibly coming through. And my husband just said, go make your videos. He will mow if he mows, and that's that. So that's how we're rolling today. I think he understood I kind of needed to just make some soap today. And so then into this one, I have some Mad Mica's Maniacal Pea, Yellow Vibrance, and some Winter White. The other two are from Nature's Garden. So I'm mixing up Brambleberry, Mad Mica's, and Nurture Soap. I think I just said Nature's Garden, but I meant Nurture Soap for the Micas. So I do want this to set up. So that's something to keep in mind. But I also want to get a nice pour going on there in the first place. So I'm just going to put in just a little bit, whoa, making messes, just a little bit of the fragrance, and I shall clean up my mess. Golly, I don't typically just kind of let's start over. I don't typically just kind of haphazardly pour fragrance in. I like it to be divided appropriately, but since this is a test batch, we're just gonna roll with it for today. I have a lot of people ask me that, why don't you just mix your colors first and then do your fragrance? Well, that's why. I really like everything to be fragranced appropriately, and so I don't just wing it. I'm gonna give these just a little blend, and then this green can go into here, color it just a little bit. All right, so it's still quite thin, which is a little too thin actually. So since we're testing this out, I'm not going to worry too much about having a design perfect. So what I think I'll do, I'm going to put in some of this darker green first. I do mostly want it to be on the base. Yeah, let's just do that. I probably have way too much for the green here. So then let's put in the rest of this green. And then I'm gonna just kind of gently, well, it's still pretty soft, so it's not doing exactly what I wanted it to do. These molds are so thin, it's kind of hard to reach down in there. It's starting to thicken up now, so that's actually kind of cool. You can see down in there just a little bit the nice kind of swirly design. And it's not supposed to perfectly mimic a watermelon. We often, us makers on YouTube, we get shouted at sometimes for not being exactly, but it's just an interpretation. It's not meant to be an identical look to an exact watermelon. Yeah, so that is really set up now, so that would definitely be something to keep in mind on a large batch. Now, I don't know if you can see it still wiggles just a little bit, so I'll probably just hold my main batch over here because it doesn't have any fragrance in it. Is still nice and thin, so it's fine, it's holding. So I'm just gonna let this set up a bit. So what we'll do is go ahead and get this colored. Now I've mixed some Queen of Hearts from Nurture, well these are all from Nurture, Hollywood, and some Trial by Fire. So we'll see. I struggle getting a watermelon color that I like, so I figured I'd just try this mixture and see what I think. I really like the Queen of Hearts and Hollywood together. So I thought throw in a little Trial by Fire to bring in a little bit of a red. I'm not looking for a super dark pink though. This probably will lighten up a bit, so I think that's fine. I don't want to. I just don't want to add too much. Okay, so I'm just going to stir the remainder of the fragrance in. And I do want to blend it a bit. This fragrance does stay fluid for a little bit as long as you just keep moving. So I'm going to attempt to flood this on. So I'm going to try to use this little spatula. I usually have a hard time making watermelon-y looking soaps because the big molds, they it just take, whoop, getting my fingers in it, takes so long to just do the whole process. And sometimes the design can be tricky, but this might be worth working with. Again, I'm still smelling straight up citrus, so if you put a rainbow sherbet fragrance next to me, I would think that this was the exact same one. Don't have any at the moment, but again, that's out of bottle, so we gotta let it do its thing to really know what's happening here. And these soaps, if they turn out, I'll send them out as samples, but if they don't turn out, we'll use them, you know, personally here at home. We always need soap too, you know. So it's definitely starting to get a little thick. It's not bad. This is definitely a workable fragrance. Definitely. Now this has such good reviews. Normally I would just go to town and make a full-size batch, but because it did smell like citrus to me, I decided I would just test this one. So I want to give it a little design. It's not quite ready yet. Okay, let's give this another try. Oh yes, that's quite delightful. It's still thin enough that it could come close to not holding it, but it's doing great. And I kind of like the way it's smearing the smearing's not a good word. I kind of like how it's drizzling. That's the word I'm looking for. It's drizzling there on the edge. So you know, I think I'm just gonna leave it. Look at that. Isn't that cool? Looks good. Alright, so this is the test of the sour watermelon candy soap. And I actually have more to do today, so I'm going to plan on filming them. I'll see you back here for the cut. Okay, so it's been a couple of weeks and I'm back to cut this sour watermelon scented soap. And it does smell good. You cannot convince me that it's watermelon. I'm still smelling that rainbow sherbet scent. So, you know, I don't know if you've used this same scent. Maybe you could tell me if that's what you get too. I'm a little bit weird with watermelon scents as is, so it's entirely possible that this is like sour watermelon candy scent and I'm just not like picking up myself. But anywho's, let's see. So I have my handy dandy single cutter here, and I do have a bar cut already. It's been a couple of weeks, which is a little much, admittedly, but I have been so busy on other things and have had just this set aside for when the table got cleared off, and I'm just like having to make it happen today. So that's what we're doing. I do like how it turned out in general. The soap itself is really nice. I'm not a huge fan of this color. In fact, I brought over a soap that I made on the same day. I was just testing different colors and such. I think that's kind of a better watermelon color, but this may work better for the sour watermelon candy thought process, but I don't know. The base green, it did break through just a little bit, as far as the lighter green broke through to the bottom green. So I would probably next time make sure that bottom green layer is set up a little bit. So yeah, it still turned out. It's a nice test. Able to see what we got going on. It's still a cool soap, and I may end up cutting it up for samples so that you guys can tell me if you like it too. If you don't clean off the wire, then it does leave some from the previous cut on it, but we bevel and plane anyway, so it's not really a thing. It was really fun to just make a smaller batch of soap though. They're really, I don't know, the pressure's off, so it's just super fun to make something small for a change. It still was 4 big loaves, so it was still a little bit of a project altogether, but individually they were just a hoot. So that's about it. There's really nothing much to it. But this was a fun batch to make, and I'll continue to evaluate and see what I think about this scent. So there we have the sour watermelon test batch, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye.